Hi guys, just thought I'd give you a quick rundown on what Reposit means for those of us with time of use, TOU, or off-peak power. As we can see here, it's about 1 o'clock, just after 1 o'clock on a Sunday, the 19th of February, and we've had a fairly normal morning here. We got up and had breakfast at about 8, which is pretty typical Sunday behaviour in the household. We've had a little bit of intermittent generation as the cloud has cleared off this morning, and then as we got towards 10 o'clock, the dishwasher went on, a few cleaning appliances happened, and the pool pump kicked in at the same time. So consumption's up a little compared to most mornings, and that's fine. We have had to import a little bit of power here and there, tiny little spikes there, and the battery's starting to fill up after that morning activity. So you can see we've started to capture some solar power for use later today. But what you might be asking is, well, hang on a minute, why are we importing power down here? And also, if we scroll back through the battery, why do we have 1.9 at midnight, slowly growing to 2.5? There's no solar generation during this period. We're importing power, so why is this happening? To explain this, we need to go back to yesterday. So if I go back to the 18th, which was Saturday, on a keynote here you can see there was a sudden drop off in solar generation at that point as the big storm hit. And if you'd been watching my Twitter feed at AU Powerwall, you would see that there was a big storm hit my part of Sydney yesterday, and it happened very suddenly. As you can see, solar generation dropped off quite fast, and then there was a bit of a sun shower in the afternoon. That's beside the point of this video. As you can see, the consumption went up a little around this time because I had to run the dryer because all of our washing got wet on the line. And as we move through here, you can see consumption settle back down to about what I expect. There's a TV on probably somewhere. We've got the fridge running in the background, a few small appliances, maybe some fans. So as we get towards the end of the night, you can see the battery, if I just wind it back, battery starting to take over and use a lot of power here as the dryer's running. Battery falls down to 2.7 kilowatt hours stored, and then we basically go into evening mode where it's gradually powering the whole house, and it comes down and down and down and down and then stops. Now, it's not easy to tell, but there's a bit of a flattening out here where the battery has gone from 2.7 down to 1.6 and then started to increase again. And that's because if I slide the clock back to 10 o'clock, where the minimum happens, 10 p.m. is when my off-peak rates kick in. Therefore, it's cheaper for me to use this power than it would be for shoulder rate over the weekend, and it's about 50% of the cost of shoulder rate. So what would happen is normally the battery would just run down to empty, and then I'd have to wake up the next day and start paying shoulder rate for my breakfast after 7 a.m, which would be a bit of a shame, because what Reposit gives me the ability to do is import some of this off-peak power to save myself some money later in the day. So we can see it starts at 10 o'clock, we have 1.6 kilowatt hours, and as we creep up towards midnight, 1.8 total into the battery. And then if I skip forward to the next day, wind the clock back, we have our 1.9 all the way through to 2.5. What the Reposit's done is analyze the fact that I need some power to get through breakfast. It also analysed that solar generation earlier in the day was going to be poor, and that given my pool pump kicks in at a certain time and I consume a certain amount for breakfast at 7 or 8 o'clock, it would be cheaper for me to actually import some off-peak power instead of paying for shoulder rate power later in the morning. As it was, we got up and had breakfast and had pancakes, so we didn't quite use as much power as I thought. But the benefit is still going to be that it'll put power in the battery so that when this period of dishwashing and steam cleaning and things happens, we have plenty of power in the battery and don't need to import anything. And you can see there's still a little bit of import happening here and there around these parts here, but it's quite inconsequential as far as the cost factor goes. So there you go. This is Reposit at work, determining what the best financial outcome is for me, keeping an eye on my billing while also considering the wear and tear on the battery and how that's going to affect the long-term outcome of my investment.